Thank you. When I am 10 years old, I wake up, startled by the sound of my dad's voice. He seems distressed and panicked. I get down from my top bunk and I walk toward my parents' bedroom. What I don't know at the time is that my mom is having a medical emergency. She is actually having a heart attack. When the ambulance comes, the paramedics load her onto the gurney. They put her in the back, and my dad goes with her. My brother and I wait with family, and when my dad comes back, my mom is not with him. My parents married in October 1972. They had my brother and I in May 1981. It's a lot of years in between. They tried and tried and tried to get pregnant, and they struggled. And when they finally got pregnant, it was a total surprise because what they didn't know is that they were having twins. They found out when my brother was born first, and then, surprise! For 10 years, it was the four of us. My mom, my dad, my brother, and I. And it felt like we had everything. And then my mom was gone, and it was just the three of us. I watched my dad struggle in his new role. Not only was he now providing financially, he had to be mom. He had to raise twins and run a household. My mom was irreplaceable, of course, and the burden felt impossible. On top of that, my twin brother had been diagnosed at a young age with a developmental disability. And that meant that he needed a lot more support than most 10-year-olds needed. I watched my dad struggle to provide for us, run the house, and give my brother the extra support that he needed. I, on the other hand, always excelled at school. I was smart, I was capable, I could take care of myself, right? I was 10 years old. And I began to ask myself this question: am I a burden? There was a seed planted in my 10-year-old brain, and it was this: I will make sure that everyone else's needs are met first. Because I'm smart, I'm capable, I can take care of myself, I don't need anything. I'm 17 years old, I'm a senior in high school, and I'm getting ready to graduate. I have no idea what I want to be when I grow up. Who does at 17? A lot of my friends are going off to university, and I decide to stick around home and go to community college because it will give me more time to explore and discover and figure out what I want to be when I grow up. But also, it'll mean I'm close to home. It'll mean I'm close to my dad and brother, and I can help them out like I always do. This is me getting ready to graduate. I had always been interested in creativity. I took art classes all through school. I love to paint, and I love to draw. Maybe I'll be an artist. But I also loved reading. I was a voracious reader. I used to get in trouble because I would stay up late past bedtime with a little nightlight reading and be told, turn off the light, go to bed. Okay, one more chapter. Maybe I'll be a writer. The world is full of possibilities. And then something really interesting happened. One day, I was walking through the student center. I saw the job board, and there was a listing for a direct care worker. Now, I was working in retail at the mall, and I was working at a pizza place in the Midwest called Hungry Howie's. If anyone's from the Midwest, you know. We've got a flavored crust. It's the best. That's all I'll say. And I thought, you know, direct care worker, that sounds kind of professional. I think that's going to be better than the jobs I have. So I'm going to apply. And I did, and it was at a time where you would literally fax your resume from the student center to the employer. So I had no idea who the employer was. I just sent my resume. And I got an interview, got a job, and the job was at a local runaway and homeless youth shelter. So at 18, I started working with young people who were not much younger than me and their families. And I saw the social workers there, and I saw the direct impact that they were having in their community. And I thought, you know, I'm really good at helping people. Maybe I could do that too. So I decided to change my major. And I will never forget the conversation I had with Professor David Korf. He taught me for 2D design, 3D design, multiple semesters of art history. And when I told him I was switching my major from something creative to social work, he said, "Tina, you're creative, and you always will be." And I replied, "I know, Professor Korf, but I have to do this." And I did. I switched my major, switched schools. I went to Wayne State in Detroit. I had an excellent education, phenomenal. I graduated and I entered the field. I decided that my career, much like my life, would be about helping other people. Sure, I had creative dreams, but you know what? Those can wait. I'm 26 when I meet and marry a man who is also a creative. For years, we talk about ideas. You guys know that idea phase, right? It's so romantic. Ooh, the possibilities. We could do this, we could do that. It reignited my desire to do creative work, even though social work was still my day job. And eventually, 5 years into the relationship, 5 years of talking about doing something, we actually did do something. We launched an online publication called The Great Discontent. It started as an online magazine. It was long-form interviews with creators, and the idea was there are people out there who've taken a creative path. How did they do it? What motivated them? What drives them? We told the stories of these creators, how they got to where they are, and we shared it with readers around the world. In the meantime, we moved from our hometown in Michigan to New York City, East Village. It's pretty awesome. I had left social work behind, and now I was an editor and a writer. Ooh. I was living my dream. I was working in a creative field, and it was incredible. The magazine grew with the help from a successful Kickstarter. We went to print, and I imagine there might be people in this room who helped fund that Kickstarter, so thank you. We launched a live event series in New York City and a podcast. Now it was a multimedia publication. We had readers around the globe, and as we grew, there was pressure to succeed. Work was my first priority. I threw myself into work. I was hustling, not taking a lot of time off, and certainly not investing in myself. My second priority was my partner. I want to make him happy. And then, if I have any time left, I'll devote a little bit to me. But we all know how that goes, right? You never have any time left over for yourself. I'm 35 years old when I fly home to New York City after a long weekend visiting a girlfriend in Nashville. That night, my husband asks if we can talk. And by the end of the conversation, my marriage is over. I'm alone, truly alone, for the first time in 10 years. I had invested so much into my work. I had invested so much into my marriage. And I had invested very, very little into myself. I didn't know who I was outside of my marriage and my business. But I was about to find out. The first thought that came into my head was this. I felt like that 10-year-old again. I'm a burden. I can't ask for help. But where will I live? How will I make money? What will I do for work? I had no idea. But I knew that I had to do things differently this time. I knew that I couldn't do it alone as much as I wanted to, and I had to reach out for help. And so I did. I texted and called friends. I asked for help, and they responded to me. They were willing to help me with really, really practical things like, hey, I need to move down the block. I've found an apartment with a roommate. For the first time in my life, I'm going to have a roommate. It's awesome. She's here today, and she's amazing. My friends literally moved me down the block. One of them carried a large lamp down the street. Friends also showed up to provide emotional support. I had a list of people I would text when I was having a bad day, and I would just say, hey, can you get on the phone? I really need to talk to someone. And I would just go down the list until someone was available, and they said yes. It was incredible. No one said, you're a burden. No one said, no, I don't want to help you. In fact, they were happy to help. For so many years, I thought that putting myself first meant that I was selfish. But I didn't care anymore. I made a conscious choice to make myself a priority. Everything else can wait. And during this transformation, I call it, I started to invest in things in my life that I had neglected, right? My dreams, purpose, career, education, relationships, my health, my mind. And I began to let other people invest in me. I was really, really good at giving, and I was terrible at receiving. It took a while to be okay with receiving, and it's still a practice. But I wouldn't be where I am today if it were not for the people who invested in me during that time. During all of this, I was doing a lot of reading, and I came across this quote from Mary Oliver. She says, "Someone I loved once gave me a box full of darkness. It took me years to understand that this, too, was a gift." I surely believe that no matter what we're going through, there are gifts in every season. You might be going through something really hard today, and that's okay. You will go through it. You might not see the gift now, but you'll look back, and it will be there. For me, getting divorced was the catalyst for me to invest in myself again. It helped me open up to others and allow them to invest in me. I want to share a few things that have happened on the other side of that. Shortly after my divorce, a friend said, "You should make a list of all the things that you want to do for yourself." And I thought, that's stupid. I don't want to do anything. I'm not really doing anything. But the friend knew me, and I made a list. And it's funny because I made a list, I put it away, and I look back at it every now and again. And there are things that I've done on it that I forgot I even wanted to do. Share a few of those with you. Allow myself to have fun. This was a really hard one for me. I'm dancing in public here. This is not a thing I do. Travel more, especially abroad. I had my passport for 10 years and I only had one stamp in it. And I renewed my passport and I've been able to go to many, many places since. It's been incredible. Spend more time with friends, rekindle relationships that I have neglected, make new friends, speak around the world, and share my story. This isn't around the world, this is actually at 99U here in New York last week. But I have had opportunities to speak around the world. Start my own business, one that combines not only helping people, but also my creativity. And I've been able to do that through my coaching, writing, and speaking. And the last thing is to fall in love again. It's really, really scary, you guys, to invest in ourselves because when we make that initial investment, our thought is, what if I'm disappointed? What if it's not worth the time? What if I'm not worth it? I know I'm not the only one in here who puts themselves last, right? I'm not the only one who struggles with this. So I want to ask you today to think about what would happen if you made it a priority to invest in yourself. What could you do today? What could you do next week? And what could you do next month? And how might it change your life? We really, really don't want to be a burden. We don't want to put other people out. How many times do you need something that someone else might have and be totally happy to give you, but we don't ask because we feel bad, we feel guilty? Letting others invest in us requires vulnerability. I know I'm also not the only one in this room who has struggled with receiving, right? We love to give, we love to help others. We have a hard time accepting for ourselves. I want to ask you today, how can you open up more? How can you let others begin to invest in you? Because they want to. What are you willing to take a risk for? I want to contribute my skills. I hope I'm good enough. I love you. Do you love me? I want to start a new business. What if I fail? If I follow my dreams, will I be disappointed? Do you want to be friends with me? That's a big one when we move to New York, right? Trying to find a new friend group. It's scary. It's vulnerable. Let's start a family. This is a big investment, and one that my partner took a risk in initiating the conversation. On our year anniversary, we got a little tipsy. He told me he wanted to make a baby with me. And I said, well, I've thought about it too, but maybe we should have some conversations when you're sober. And so we did. We did. And it went like this. This is me. I want to, but I'm scared. Let's talk more. Okay, tell me more. Well, what if we can't get pregnant? My parents tried for a long time. Okay, we'll work through it. What if we're terrible parents? We'll be great. Such confidence. What if something bad happens, right? I didn't want something bad to happen like it had to me. We can't control that. I know I'll regret it if we don't try. Let's do it. I'm 38 when I wake up and I realize what day it is. It's the anniversary of my mother's death. I do the math, it's been 28 years. Hard to believe. My partner and I are living in London for the summer. He gets up, gets ready for work, and I leave to go to the pharmacy because I need to pick something up. I have been feeling weird. And I think I might be pregnant. Go home, pee on the stick, says, congratulations, you're pregnant. For a long time, I was so busy taking care of other people and worrying about what they needed that I didn't think I deserved or was able to have a life of my own or a family of my own. Now, I have a life of my own, and I'm going to have a family of my own too. Getting that positive pregnancy test on the anniversary of my mother's death, I felt like her speaking to me from the other side, saying, you deserve to have your own family and your own life too. Motherhood feels like the biggest risk and the biggest investment. And it's not one that you can just change your mind about. You're in it. Will I be a good mom? Will I provide my kid or kids with opportunities I didn't have? Will I get to watch them grow old? Something my mother was interviewing creatives for the Great Discontent, one of the very last questions we would ask is, what kind of legacy do you hope to leave? Even though I had asked so many people this question, I truly had no idea how I would answer it. So I've been thinking a lot about this legacy question because being pregnant will do that to you. And last week, I was laying in bed, awake, because I couldn't sleep, and I was feeling the baby kick, and I was thinking about what I want to teach my child. What do I want to pass on to them? And then I was anxious and thinking about the talk, and I thought, what am I really trying to say? What do I want to pass on to everyone at CreativeMornings? And it's this: take a chance on yourself. Give others an opportunity to show up for you. You are worth the investment. Thank you.